Welcome YouTubers, welcome back. In today's video, I'm going to be referring back to a previously recorded video called, which I called 5 things you're practicing incorrectly and how to correct them. I listed 5 things in that video and I'm going to get into one of them into more detail today in this video. And I'll be talking about technique, how you've been practicing your technique, and maybe you're not doing it the most efficient way that you could be doing it. But before I continue, please subscribe to my channel and click that notification button so to make sure that you'll get notified for any new video that I'll have coming out. Let me ask you this. Are you still playing your exercises or your technical studies like this? That you're starting off slow, you're playing through the whole study or exercise, and then after that you increase the tempo, and then you just go back and repeat the same thing over and over again? What would you say if I told you that this is not the most efficient way to practice at all? I have to say, first of all, the brain. How does the brain learn material? How does it learn new things? The brain learns slowly, piecemeal. You have to give the brain just a little bit of information at a time and repetitive so that to learn it as well. I think we all know that feeling when we were still in school where we had to cram for an exam and maybe we stayed up all night to learn the material at hand, and who knows, maybe the next day we actually went to exam and maybe we even aced it. You know, we even got our A and things like that and we passed the exam. But guaranteed, wait 2 more weeks after that, after the exam's all over. It's been said that you'd probably forget up to 80% of the information that you had acquired while you were cramming. Why does the brain get rid of all that information? Main thing there is stress. The brain doesn't like to learn things under stress. And even though the brain will do it because you're, forcing your brain, it's like force feeding from your brain into say, come on, have some more, get fat, get more information. And it'll do it, but once the stress is gone, meaning once the exam is over and you start to relax again, then the brain will start getting rid of that information that it learned under stress. So what we want to do here, you want to take your exercises and you want to break them down. You want to isolate the most difficult passages within whatever exercise or study that you do. I'm going to use a few examples here on different levels how you can use this. First, I'm going to be talking about how to do them when you're learning your scales, or you're learning a scale or passage. I'm going to be talking about how you could use them when you're playing a little more difficult technical passage, like say if you're working on a concerto. I'm going to be using an example out of Jacques Ribert's La Concertina da Camera as an example. I'm going to teach you how you could learn your jazz patterns in a more efficient way so that you actually get to use them in your improvisations and not just to keep playing and playing overall. Let's get to the scale patterns. We're just going to take a 4-note example like this. we'll first play, the rhythm as it is, in just eighth notes as it's displayed here. After that, we'll play this exercise in a dotted eighth and a 16th, or you could use a swing eighth notes if you prefer. Once that is done, on our fourth step, we're going to play a quarter note and a triplet, or an eighth note and 16th triplets, however you prefer to read this. Then we turn that around by playing the triplet, then the quarter. And then the next step after that, a quarter, triplet, triplet, and a quarter. And then afterwards playing the triplet, quarter, quarter, then a triplet. Now after you've gone through all this, you go back to the original rhythm. Now you should have been able to, once you've done all this, the speed between the notes would change. There are certain tones that would be more emphasized than other words. Some of these rhythms will be easier to play than others. Others won't be that easy to play, although you're playing the same notes. But they'll sound differently to your ear. They'll sound differently, and because of that, they may not just get into your brain right away. But once you do that, once you repeat it 3 or 4 more times, you should be able to do it. But what this does as well, this expands your ear. This expands your understanding of that line you're playing. You'll start hearing inside the melody. Now, if you have done each of these rhythms only 3 times, you would have played these sequence of notes with these 7 different rhythm patterns, 21 times, without it getting bored, without too much stress for the brain. Now, after you've done all this, you can increase the tempo up to 70 beats per minute and go through the whole process. Then afterwards, 80 beats per minute. You can continue this cycle up until you get up to 120 beats per minute. But let me tell you, if beforehand it seems to get more difficult, or if you start to get tired, take a break. Stop right there. Once you get, take a break for like 5-10 minutes, come back, start 10 beats per minute slower than you just left off. Now this is something I use called rhythmic variations. You could do this with just about any technical passage. In this next example, I'm using an excerpt from the Concertino da Camera, for solo alto saxophone and chamber orchestra. I'm taking one of my favorite passages from there that I've often played just to keep fit. Now that I've gone through all that, hey, what about jazz patterns? This next jazz pattern I'm displaying here, this is included in my book, 250 Jazz Patterns, among many other ones. And this is something that it's not explained in the book this way to practicing them, but I'd like to display here what you could do with the patterns in order to learn them more efficiently. And again, here I'm going to cut to the chase and get to some more of the interesting rhythmic variations. Now, once you've done all this, I'd say further isolate the most technically difficult passages. Go through that, rinse and repeat. And as I said once before, with using, you could use the same techniques when you're working on your doubles. You know, when you're playing your scales, don't start off just by playing through the whole scale. Find out what part of that scale is the most difficult for you to play at that moment. And just concentrate on those 3 or 4 notes, and then slowly add on another note once you get more proficient. So that is my take on how to practice technique. Take your time with it, do it often, do it well, start off slowly. And so please comment, subscribe, hit that notification button, and I would like you to consider to become a patron. In the link, there will be a link in the description going to my Patreon page. If you have any questions or any things, topics that you feel that I maybe should do a video on, please also write it in the comments, let me know, and we'll see each other in the next video.